Hello guys, welcome to Handligat. Today we're going to work on pick up and make at home craft projects. We have a lot of them here in the shop, and we have some small groups that are doing these together with things like Zoom or whatever. Today we're going to make a sign. The sign's going to feature Wise Owl paints and transfers by Redesign with Prima. We carry these products in the store. We like them a lot. We like the Wise Owl because it's non-toxic, has no fumes. You can work around your kids. In your kit should be everything that you need to get started on this project. One of the first things you want to look for is the sandpaper. The kit should have a small square of sandpaper in here. It's up to you whether you want to sand your project and which side you want to use. Do you want to knot the feature? Because you may see that bleed through a little bit. Do you want it to look more rustic? I just like to remove splinters. So I'll go around the edges and make sure that those are okay. Then you should wipe it off. You could use a dry cloth, you could use your paintbrush, but you don't want bits of sawdust on there if you sand it a lot. All right, so in every kit are 2 containers of paint, and each kit is different. So they are colors that are designed to show up more with whatever color transfer you have. You should look at your design and think about how you want to lay it out, so you have some sense. You can layer things. You can have your stencil go over your transfer or vice versa. Also, I've included in all the kits, because I have them around, some little extra stencils. You can use them or not. They're not really part of the design. When you have a stencil like this and it has a center and an outside, and it's a simple design, you could use it either way. You could put the middle down and paint around it, or you could put the outside, or both. I'll cover both in this, although I might not normally do that on such a small sign. So I put the stencil down, and I'm going to paint around it, and this part of the design is just going to look like wood. So I tell people all the time, when you're painting, less is more. Better to not have a thick coat of paint that takes 1.5 years to dry. You can always come back and add more. When we're using these cheap little chip brushes that I do like to use for signs like this, they may shed some hair. If you see a hair coming off, come back in, pick it off. Another option you have with this type of sign of layered colors, you could take this paint and dilute it down with some water and apply it like a wash or a thin stain. Another way I sometimes do this is I do what I call the wet wipe method. So I would put a thin layer of paint on, and while it's still wet, take a wet wipe and rub back. And what you're going to get is a barely there bit of color. Up to you. There's no wrongs. I tell people all the time when they're in here or when they're making stuff, the goal here is perfectly imperfect. So we want our designs to look like you made them, not like they were made in a factory. When your sign is a little thick like this, you can do the edges or not. It's up to you whether you want wood to show in the edges. I just am skimming a little bit of paint over the edges, and then I'm going to sand back and the wood's going to show through. Okay. Final. I'll go lightly over the whole thing, moving the brush in one direction, just to give it a little more finished look.